we have a live Q&A review for Jannik Sinner versus Daniil Medvedev, and I can't wait to get into this one. Again, if you've got any questions, then please drop them into the live chat as well. I've just come from playing tennis, so yeah, I'm very much based on this. And Lex in the house, hello for Zara fans. I'm going for dinner. Might be hard for Sinner, but it can be done. Okay, alright, I'm liking that. And Jose playing tennis fans. Hi Jose, how are you doing? But the head-to-head, by the way, for Medvedev is crazy. Medvedev's never lost to Sinner, which is, you might find surprising, and before you say, oh, well, it's not many matches, no, it's my fewest matches so far. And Medvedev is pretty much quite convincingly beaten him. The only one that was tight, or very tight, I would say, there's two. One was in 2021 at the Nitto ATP finals in Italy, and weirdly, Medvedev labelled him in the first set, then the next two sets tiebreakers, and he won 7-5, 8-6 in those two tiebreakers, Medvedev. And then in Rotterdam, even the second set, Sinner took it 7-5 and decided that 10-8 was Medvedev, and that one was the tight one at least. And then Rotterdam final, just indoor hard, was this year. He took the first set, Sinner, and then that, managed to lose the second and third set 6-2, 6-2. Jose saying not bad, and you? Yeah, all good, thank you very much. And yeah, I've literally just come back from playing tennis. It's getting a bit colder here in the UK, so I was playing on our clay courts at my club, and yeah, it wasn't as as warm, and the ball wasn't popping as much as I'm used to recently, but I was playing in the evening, so I'm hoping that it won't. Winter's not here yet. That's my hope. Ashley in the house. Hello, Fazan, everyone. Hey, Ashley, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Look, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting into this, and in fact, I'm going to share my screen because why not? Like, it's just a lot easier to do that. In fact, we can go to entire screen, and that would just be a lot easier, to be honest. But yeah, so I think, there's a few things really to get into, so we'll get into it in a second. But yeah, you can see here, let's make this bigger for you guys. So the head-to-head is interesting because you can see here, this is the ATP site. Marseille was the first time they met. Medvedev won in 3 sets. Actually, Sinner took the first set there, interestingly. And then met in Marseille the year after, 2021. Medvedev won in straight sets. Then there's that ATP finals match I was talking about. Vienna, straight sets for Medvedev. Rotterdam, 3 sets. Miami, straight sets this year as well. Josep says, I've been out of the tennis loop, been watching other sports. Okay, what other sports have you been watching? Traitor, Josep, traitor. No, it's all good. It's all good. And guys, we're on the chat. Make sure you drop any questions that you have on. It doesn't necessarily need to just be on Sinner Medvedev. It can be on whatever. It can be a comment. It can be a question. It can be on the WTA tour. Literally anything. And the Masters 1000 for Shanghai is starting tomorrow as well. And in fact, we can probably do the draw preview and prediction video on here as well if you want, after reviewing or previewing, even this. And Aussie Rules Rugby League. Okay, nice. So let's do a bit of a preview then, and then any comments and questions you have, I can get into, of course, as well. But yeah, I mean, look, in all honesty, the biggest thing for Sinner is going to be the mental aspect now, because he's just come through a really, really exciting match against Alcaraz. And I guess we can touch upon that match and also Medvedev's match against Zverev first before we get into the nitty-gritty and review the matchup of Sinner versus Medvedev. But I mean, Alcaraz was thoroughly outplayed today, to be honest, by Sinner. And we know that, yes, Sinner has a style that is pretty difficult for Alcaraz, and Alcaraz struggles with the big power line or the big power baseline hitting that Sinner is able to utilize, and he's able to. I mean, it's really the whole crux of his game, right? It's his style, and his style just isn't great for Alcaraz. He really, really struggles with that type of style. So again, it was a little bit of a struggle. The first set could have gone either way. Ironically, I think for Jannik Sinner, he was a breakdown in that first set early on. He managed to recover and break back straight away. There were 4 breaks in a row, actually. But in the end, the tiebreaker, Jannik Sinner was just a lot more clinical in the big moments, in all honesty. So came out on top there. And then second set, he was a lot better, in all honesty. And yes, Jannik Sinner did save a lot of break points, but he was clutch, and he came out big, really, in those big moments. He didn't really, like with Alcaraz, there were some uncharacteristic errors, I would say, which was a bit weird to see, but I think he was being rushed. And there was an interesting stat, actually, that Tennis Insights, let me have a look, Tennis Insights talked about. And I actually shared it on my Instagram, so let me just quote it correctly. But in my review, I said that the ad core exchange is going to be really crucial for Sinner, and in the past he's had success in that ad core exchange, and he'd need to again if he wanted to come out on top in this match. That's exactly what happened, and I did highlight that. And yeah, this stat backs it up. So backhand cross court exchanges or ad court exchanges, Sinner had 19 winning plays in comparison to Alcaraz only having 4. So winning plays combine winners, shots which gain control of the point, shots leading to an opponent error. So there are 23 winning plays, right, in that ad court exchange. Sinner won 19 out of the 23. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive, right, from Sinner. And it just shows that he dominated it. He bossed that exchange. And it's really important, the ad court exchange. Djokovic is the best ever tennis player to hold a racket, and he's also the best ever in that ad court exchange. And as a right-hander, right, being able to defend your backhand corner isn't the be-all and end-all, but if you can defend it well, it's one of the biggest advantages that you can have, apart from, I would say, serve and return. Like, that's how big I think it is. But yeah, that ad court exchange is just crucial, and Sinner did really well. He narrowed the court really well as well. He didn't let Alcaraz drag him out wide and dictate from the back of the court. He nullified the drop shot, nullified the lob as well with his speed, with his movement. And I thought he was really, really impressive, Sinner. So I'm hoping that he puts up a better fight against Medvedev. We'll talk about that in a second, how he might be able to get over the line and finally get a win over Daniil Medvedev. Will it be 7th time lucky, right, against Medvedev? For Medvedev, by the way, we have to talk about him. He was impressive against Zverev today. Zverev didn't play badly, and I know that Zverev's played a lot of tennis in the last couple of weeks. I know, Ashley, as well, you in the chat, you were talking about it in one of your comments, saying, why is he playing so many matches? I think it's to try and creep in, if possible, to then into ATP finals, I'd imagine. And he wants to end the year as high as possible. So he's been playing some good tennis. He hasn't been double faulting much. He's been serving pretty well. Against Medvedev as well in the first set, I thought he played some really good, aggressive tennis. And he had his chances in that first set against Medvedev. He did have his chances. And it wasn't like it was an absolute demolition job. He lost in straight sets, but he did have his chances. He did. And, it's just a shame. It's just a shame that he wasn't able to do more, in all honesty. But, yeah, it's just one of those things that I think we have to bear in mind that, Zverev, the head-to-head was 9-7 in favor of Medvedev. And I don't know whether there's a mental aspect there as well, but it's pretty tight, I guess. Zverev had won the previous match between the two, but 6-4, 6-3 in the end. Medvedev has been serving really, really well. I think the Tennis Insight profile for him on serve was 9.3 out of 10. And when he's serving well, he's so tough to beat because he's a complete wolf on the back of the court and he's very hard to break down. And when he's serving well, it just means he gets through his service games really quickly. And then he's a fantastic returner. Of course, he's got that very strange, you could say, stance in terms of standing so far back behind the baseline. His return position is crazy, but generally speaking, it works for him, and that's crucial. So, yeah, I think it's really intriguing to see how good Medvedev has been, and I think he's definitely on a high, and he's definitely riding that US Open wave of form that he had, and that's great to see, to be honest. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would have rather seen an Alcaraz. I would have rather seen a Sinner-Zverev final or a Medvedev-Alcaraz final than a Medvedev-Sinner final or an Alcaraz-Zverev final, because I feel like those matchups are pretty one-sided, generally speaking, or they would have been one-sided. Now we've got the Medvedev-Sinner final, which on paper is one-sided. I'm just hoping that Sinner can do something here and potentially win, because the head-to-head is becoming really troublesome for him at the moment, in honesty, and we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, Medvedev's been serving really well, and both players, Zverev and Medvedev, had really deep return positions. Sasha was trying to be aggressive, but Medvedev, actually, in fairness to him, wasn't just a backboard today. I was quite impressed by how aggressive he was, and especially in the return games. In moments, he was going for the lines at times as well. So yeah, I was definitely intrigued by that, in honesty, more than anything. And Ashley says here, I didn't get to watch the match today, but happy for Jannik to get the win. Hope he can do something against Medvedev. Yeah. And Hosnip says, I like both guys, prefer Sinner to win though. Yeah, I think just for the rivalry, just for the head-to-head, I think it's important that Sinner probably wins at some point soon. If I think maybe tomorrow it's a big one. It's a big one. I think it's not a must-win, but it's close. It's close. And actually, so I'm a neutral between Medi and Sinner. Don't have a fave, so I'm fine with either winning. Sinner's never beaten Medvedev right yet. No, he hasn't. 6 loves the head-to-head. And Hosip says, interesting stat. Yeah, interesting stat indeed. So, in terms of their route to the final, let's very, very briefly then talk about that. So, you can see Sinner beat Evans in 3 sets in his first match. Then Nishioka in straight sets. Dimitrov was a relatively difficult one in 3 sets. Dimitrov's been in some pretty good form. Also beat Holger Rune in pretty impressive fashion as well. And then the match against Alcaraz, impressive victory in straight sets. For Medvedev, he beat Tommy Paul in the first round, then Demoneur, then Ugo Humbert in 3 sets. Interesting to see the Frenchman get something out of that, because he's been reinvigorated, I think, this year. And yeah, a comprehensive victory over Zverev. So both these players are going to go into this match pretty fresh. There has been concerns about Sinner. His fitness, has he been well? Because against Dimitrov, he was ill. Seemed okay against Alcaraz. There was a slight, kind of feeling of his hamstring against Alcaraz at one point, but it dissipated very quickly in that match. So, yeah. In terms of how this one might play out, now, the issue that Sinner's had with Medvedev in the past is that the ad court exchanges that we're talking about when we're talking about him versus Alcaraz, he's not as dominant in those ad court exchanges. That's the thing, right? He's not as dominant in those ad court exchanges against Medvedev as he would be or was against Alcaraz in the previous match. Medvedev's backhand is extremely reliable, and it would be the same if he plays Zverev as well, to be fair. So where he was completely hammering that ad side against Alcaraz, he's going to have to change tactic. He can't play the same way against Medvedev. He needs to go into the forehand more Medvedev, which is and can be more error prone than the backhand. and he'll have to add a bit more variety as well. He'll have to come forward more to the net and be a bit brave, I think, with his approaches, with his net play. He served quite well, I thought, in big moments, but his first serve percentage was pretty low. So if he can get that up against Medvedev, I think it's crucial. And returning wise, I think he needs to be clever against Medvedev because he, in my opinion, I think Sinner needs to go deep down the middle in a lot of the return points, and he doesn't tend to do that. If you watch him, he tends to go very hard, as hard as he can down the line or cross court, and sometimes the depth isn't there. And Medvedev is very good at stepping in and deflecting and being aggressive in that in those scenarios. So yeah, Medvedev, yeah, as Ashley says here, Medvedev owns the back of the court against Sinner. Unfortunately, Medi can grind for days. And there were some points against Zverev today where he was doing that. He was just happy to grind for days, and he can go into that lockdown mode. Djokovic is similar, right? And you could argue that Medvedev actually has better shot tolerance than anyone on tour. Anyone in the top 20, you could argue, definitely. Anyway, Djokovic is definitely up there, but I think with Djokovic's different style of play nowadays, that Medvedev is probably the man when it comes to that. So, you're not going to be able to grind him off the court like maybe Sinner was able to do against Alcaraz. I think he's going to have to be a bit more. I think he's going to have to be a bit smarter, and he's going to have to find ways to finish off points in a creative way, whether it's at the net, whether it's angles, whether it's inducing errors from Medvedev because he's putting him in uncomfortable positions. I think he needs to vary his rhythm. I was talking about rhythm when I did the Medvedev versus Zverev preview, and I said that the issue that players have against Medvedev is that he loves one pace. He loves being able to play against someone who doesn't have a whole lot of variety. And that's why in the past he struggled against someone, let's say, like a Manarino, because Manarino has that awkwardness, that variety, is because he does deflect, he does counterpunch, and he doesn't want to generate a lot of pace himself, for one. And for two, he doesn't want to be hitting different balls constantly because that disrupts his rhythm and puts him in an uncomfortable position. So if Sinner is able to, and his slice is not the best, that's the only issue that Sinner's going to have. So then if he's not going to be slicing on the backhand side, for example, then what I would suggest is that he goes a little bit more varied in the ground stroke exchanges, whether that's angles, whether that's the amount of topspin, how flat he's in the ball, whether that's a little bit less pace. I don't know. But the problem that Sinner has against Medvedev is that Sinner doesn't really have that in his arsenal. He doesn't have that. With Alcaraz, he can hit a forehand in like 4 or 5 different ways. Sinner has maybe 2, 3 maximum, and they're all very similar. It's very, very power orientated, his game, Sinner, and there isn't as much variety as, say, an Alcaraz. And even though he beat Alcaraz today, the matchup for Alcaraz is easier because he has that variety in his arsenal, and he's able to make sure that Medvedev can't get super comfortable. Now, Medvedev beat him recently, so that doesn't mean that he can't lose to Medvedev. But with Sinner, the reason why he's lost 6 matches against Medvedev is because he just soaks it up. And he just says, thank you very much. And I'm going to move you around, deflect, and I'm going to make you play an extra shot, an extra 2 shots, an extra 3 shots, and you're going to make a mistake because my shot tolerance is better than yours. And I'm going to play more high percentage shots, and I'm going to make sure that, you have to go for more and more and more until you make errors. And he tries to hit players off the court at times when he's struggling to win points. Not necessarily easily, but when he's struggling to win points that he would be expecting to win or expected to win. I think when he's, in attack, if we want to talk about it from a tennis insights point of view, against most players, he would win those points. Against Medvedev, he will win a smaller percentage of those points, and he's going to have to be more patient. He's going to have to be a bit more creative. Does he have that in his locker? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think he's definitely developing it. He's now developed a drop shot. He's coming to the net more. I think his transition game's good. I do think he's a pretty good volleyer as well. It's more from the back of the court. Does he have the variety in the ground stroke? So I'm not quite sure he does. So it could be another difficult match. And I think if he plays the level we played today against Alcaraz, he's got a good chance. I would still edge towards Medvedev. But yeah, I think quite a few pieces need to align. I think for him, the stars almost need to align a little bit for Sinner for him to win. I would say potentially. Bella says, plus this will be the third time they play this year, right? All in finals, with Medvedev winning the previous two. Exactly. Yep. You're very right, Bella. Yeah. And thanks for becoming a member as well, Bella. That's very kind of you. Ashley says, Medvedev owns the back of the court. Yeah, gone over that. Hozip says, I think Sinner is still a work in progress. Yeah, definitely. I mean, even Alcaraz is a work in progress. Let's be honest. Like, yes, he's an incredible player, and Sinner is as well. But these guys, and I think especially Sinner, he is definitely a work in progress, and that's when we're talking about being able to have that variety right in your game, and he's adding to it. He's getting there. He's not the finished article for sure. And actually, says Sinner is a diamond in the rough. He's got so much potential, in my opinion. Definitely, yeah. A lot of question marks around his conditioning and physical capabilities as well, though, because his body seems to break down quite a lot, and he does tend to have issues. So that's something that we need to keep an eye on. Hodgson says, bring May to the net, get him out of his comfort zone. Yeah, I mean, that's something that, of course, Nadal did in the 2022 Australian Open final when he was 2 sets to love down. He started to hit this kind of short slice cross court and also drop shot times as well, but mainly that short slice cross court into the Medi backhand. And Medvedev, would hit an approach and come to the net because he was almost, he wasn't really in a position to hit an approach and go back. He would have been in no man's land, and Nadal picked him off at the net. Now he has in periods of this year tried to come to the net more in matches. I've seen it with varied success. I think his net game has improved a little bit. He's never, I think, in my opinion, going to be a natural volleyer, but it can be serviceable at times. So Sinner will play a drop shot, I'm sure, especially on his service games when maybe there's going to be standing, even 5 or 6 meters behind the baseline. Sinner will hit that wide serve. I'm sure he'll go for drop shot in some of those plays. The question is, though, there's a couple of questions. Number one, is Sinner going to be able to execute it well? And two, is that the only way? Because realistically, I don't see Sinner hitting, say, a short slice cross court. And sorry, when I said Nadal hitting a slice cross court, it would have been a short slice down the line. I don't think that Sinner is going to do that. I haven't seen him do it in any match. That kind of short slice cross court, dragging in your opponent, using an angle in that way. So I would be surprised. What he might want to do, though, is because against Alcaraz, he played a lot more narrow, and that was a tactic to try and make sure that Alcaraz couldn't use angles against him. I think he probably needs to try and utilize more angles against Medvedev, and maybe he needs to utilize short angles against Medvedev. He's got very good backhand ability in terms of being able to find width on that side, but especially on the forehand, I think. And I think he should back himself in the forehand against Medvedev, in honesty, and force Medvedev to either say, okay, I need to go line first because I'm getting I'm getting pushed back on the forehand to forehand exchange, or he needs to be the aggressor himself. And I think that's where he might have success. But I also do think he needs to be patient at times. And if he overhits, which could be the case and has been the case in this matchup in the past, then he's going to get frustrated again. He's going to struggle again, and it's going to be a victory for the Russian yet again. Hozip says, Ashley, absolutely. Yeah. Bella says, Sinner had a late start to tennis. I'm willing to cut him more slack. He might need an extra couple of years to really get it together, and he's also still young, just 22. Yeah, these are all very good points, Bella, for sure. I mean, he was almost very close to becoming a professional skier, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see by the way that he moves on court that he does have that, those very flexible ankles, right? I mean, a lot of the things that he does on court, and Djokovic as well. I mean, most 99.9% of not just professional players, but recreational players wouldn't be able to do, like, they're ankle breakers. But for them, they have that ability, which really gives in my opinion, quite a big advantage because they're very far and few between these types of players that can move like that, and it does give an advantage for sure. So yeah, I mean, as we said earlier, I think he is a work in progress. There's still room for improvement for sure, and that's exciting if you're a Sinner fan because that means that he's beating, say, Alcaraz, who's won a Slam this year. He's got a positive head-to-head against him as well, and yet we're saying that he's still got a lot of room to improve. So his level's high. There's no doubt about that, and he's near the top of the game. It's just a question of can he potentially take his game, or does he need to take his game slightly further to make that major step, which is going and winning a Slam, because he's not been close really this year to winning a Slam. He hasn't made a final of a Slam yet. I think once he makes a final of a Slam, that's when I start thinking, okay, right, he's nearly there. And maybe he plays a Slam final against someone like Alcaraz. That would be interesting because Alcaraz has the final experience, but Sinner has the upper hand right now anyway in the head-to-head. So it would be a thrilling final, I think, in a Grand Slam, that is. Holmes says, hard to change play style mid-career. Yeah, and that's why I don't think Medvedev's going to become a 7 volleyer, but I think what he's realized is that he's so awkward at the net and he hates, he's so almost has a phobia when it comes to volleying, or has in the past, that he probably needs to adjust that, right? Because it became a glaring weakness in his game. And I think what I noticed was after losing to Nadal, I noticed that he started to try to come to the net more. Because the only way he's going to improve is by doing it in matches. And he was never, as I said, I don't think he's ever going to be super natural at the net. But at the same time, right, if you're able to play as well as he is from the back of the court and you are able to hit good enough approach shots, which he should be able to and is able to, then there's no reason why he can't at least give himself an easy volley to put away. And I think that's the key, right? So, yeah, as I said, it's a work in progress, but yeah, he's definitely not going to be coming to the net loads. We're not going to see him come to the net 50 times, for example, in a match. Step down says, yo, and he's become a member. Thank you, or he or she, or whoever you are. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Step down says, would you say that the focus on Alcaraz's strengths and prowess has made him seem invincible almost? It is clearly evident that faster hard courts are not his favorite. He can be rushed into errors. Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's funny because a lot of people have been saying to me that the courts are very slow. I don't really see that, although what I would say is I saw Medvedev say that the balls fluff up. He doesn't like the balls because they fluff up really quickly, and they end up getting into really long rallies when the balls are older. So I think maybe the courts are playing, a little bit differently. They're varied in the sense that, like, when the balls are new, I from what I've seen anyway, the courts are pretty quick, and when the balls are a bit older, they're struggling a little bit to. I think they're struggling to break down opponents as easily because the ball's not getting through the court as much. So I agree, though. I think the faster hard courts, and that's why I'm really intrigued. I said in my post-match analysis for Sinner versus Alcaraz, I said that, like, look, I don't know whether he is going to have a huge amount of success on indoor hard courts because I don't think his game. I think that's going to potentially be his weakest surface at the moment. Anyway, it might change going forward, but and that's not to say that his game is exactly like Nadal because it's not. But I do think he prefers. And it's ironic. He actually said after the US Open, or before the US Open, actually, or during it, actually, that his favorite surface was hard court, then grass, then clay. That was, that's the order. That's the order, right? Which is pretty impressive, to say the least, that he's thinking that because, yes, he's won a Slam on hard court, but you would argue that maybe clay is he's won the most titles on clay, but he's saying that's his least favorite surface at the moment. So intriguing. But yeah, I think his game at the moment is most suited to a slow hard court or a kind of normal pace clay court, faster clay court. I think that's the sweet spot, I think, for him at the moment. Alcaraz, that is. But he's shown that he can play on quick courts. I mean, Wimbledon is not a slow court, or they're not slow courts anywhere at Wimbledon. Yes, they're not as quick as they used to be, but they're still quick. And I am intrigued to see how he gets on the Australian Open, because after winning the US Open last year, I was really interested to see how he'd come into the Australian Open. Of course, he didn't play it due to injury. But when that does start in January, I'm very much intrigued as just to see like how he gets on, because those are fast hard courts. There's no doubting that. So how did he get on there? Because yes, the US Open hard courts are fast, but they're not as fast as the Australian Open ones. In my opinion, the Australian Open ones are rapid. So we'll see, right? That'll be the real yardstick, I think, for me, and also the indoor hard court swing, the Paris Masters, the ATP Tour Finals. How does he get on? We'll see. But yeah, good comment on there. If you do, by the way, if you're an Alcaraz fan, you're interested in, his strengths and weaknesses, and potentially, him having similarities to the big three. I implore you. Weren't really posh there by saying implore, but yeah, I implore you to check out this video, which I will put in the comments. And it's a short graphic topical video. It's only 4 minutes. Only 4 minutes long. And I'll put it here in the chat. It's only 4 minutes long. And yeah, it's got some cool graphics, and I think it's pretty interesting. So maybe bookmark it for later if you're interested, and let me know in the comments of that video what you think. Actually says volley phobia, lol. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Hozib says Australian Open starts on Sunday, extra day. It's weird. I don't get it, in honesty. I don't get why it would start on Sunday, but it is what it is, I guess. And Step Down says last year was his breakthrough year, and we did not get to see him during the end of the year, where the courts are quicker for the most part. So the first impression for many was not wholesome. Agreed. Yeah. Carlos's weaknesses are the quicker hard courts at the moment indoors. Yeah, I think I think we can all agree on that. Although I think we have to be fair in the sense that we haven't seen him a lot on indoor hard courts, so it's hard to pass judgment. I think once he's played the Paris Masters and the indoor ATP finals in Turin, that's when we can really say that, okay, we can make a real honest assessment. The quicker hard courts, I think we've seen him enough on that. Although he has won, tournaments on quicker hard courts. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. I just think it's not his forte. And I think that Sinner, for me, I think he's more comfortable on a hard court than Alcaraz. And I think I would fancy Sinner against Alcaraz on hard court. On clay and grass, I fancy Alcaraz. That's kind of how I see it. And I was saying that in my post-match review after watching how it went. I just thought, look, Sinner is so comfortable with reliable conditions. One, it was indoors as well, by the way, their match, I'm pretty sure. And two, he doesn't need to worry about an even bounce. The surface is reliable. He knows he's going to get the same ball every time. He can hit through the court with confidence, with assurance, and I think that is a real plus for him. Whereas I think with Alcaraz, with the amount of spin that he puts on the ball at times as well, he does actually fare well on a clay court, and then he can flat out the forehand. That fares well at Wimbledon. The slice as well, the slice backhand he utilized really well there. On hard court, everything that he can do, other players can do it as well, in the sense that, yes, he might have more variety, he might have more ability than a lot of the players, but what he brings to the table doesn't have as much effect on a hard court. And there's also a lot more hard court specialists. There's a lot more players that are more proficient on hard court than they are on clay or grass. And I do think that means that the gap is just not as big when it comes to, say, Alcaraz and the rest of the pack, excluding Djokovic, that is. Gene says even though he made the Cincy final, he kind of struggled in his matches. But isn't that? I mean, that just shows how impressive he is that he made the final despite struggling in the matches, as you say. So yeah, I mean, and that Cincinnati final, he wasn't far away from Djokovic. He wasn't. I mean, it was close. It was very close. So you know, he played a really good level as well, and it just shows. I mean, we're saying it's a weakness. I don't necessarily think it's a weakness for him. I just think the courts are just not as they're just not as compatible right now for him. But he's still the top. He's still in the top three players on a quicker hard court. I mean, does anyone argue with me on that? Because Djokovic is there, Medvedev's there, and I'll say Alcaraz. I know Sinner is my favorite against Alcaraz on a hard court, but he's not up there, the top three, because I don't think he matches up as well against Medvedev or Djokovic in comparison to Alcaraz. That's how I see it. Gene says it depends on the conditions though, because if it's a slower hardcore like Indian Wells, Carlos wins in my opinion. Whereas in Miami and here in Beijing, as we saw, Sinner seems to beat himself. That's true. Yep. There's obviously varying speed of hardcore. So yeah, that's a good point. Sandra says Carlos is still only 20. People expect way too much out of him at this stage of his career. Yeah, I agree. I think it's just the reason why people expect so much is because he's done so much already, right? And he is, forget about style wise, but in terms of achievements, he is almost following the footsteps of Nadal because Nadal started winning major tournaments as early as Alcaraz, and that's why I think there's pressure on him or expectation because he's done a similar thing, and he hasn't just won one slam. It's not like it was a flash in the pan. He has managed to actually win another slam on grass, which I think, me included, I didn't think he'd be able to do it. I didn't think he'd beat Djokovic on grass as well. So it just shows what an incredible talent he is, to be honest. Step down says, do you think he should work on improving his serve? Yeah, I do. It's weird because I don't know exactly what he needs to do to improve it because the actual technique, I think I'm not a massive fan of his stance and the way he serves, generally speaking. I don't know why. I just think looks very clunky at times. His serve. I don't think it looks particularly smooth. The kick serve is pretty good. Slice serve is not amazing, to be honest. Don't see him utilize it that much or utilize it as effectively anyway as I would like to see. But yeah, I mean, I just think, today as well, the second serve was getting punished by Sinner, and that's exactly what Gene's saying here. Carlos won only 28% of second serve points. That's the pressure Sinner put on him and also the poor spot serving. Yeah, I mean, Sinner sealed the deal in the first set on set point by hitting a return winner off a second serve, which was middle of the box by Alcaraz on the juice side. I mean, that's just not really good enough, right? So, yeah, I think Alcaraz needs to improve his spot serving. The pace is there. I've seen him get up to almost 140 miles per hour. So he clearly has the pace. It's just really honing his craft, like being able to hit not just a flat serve or a kick serve, but a slice serve, but being able to have that variation, utilize it effectively, without dropping his first serve percentage, without not hitting his spots. I think that's really, really important. So it's definitely something for him to improve, no doubt. I think Carlos definitely needs a bit slice serve. That's why I think Djokovic is still a better service. Needs to work on. Yeah, look, me and Eugene definitely on the same page. I agree 100%. I think the problem at the moment is that his toss and the way that he serves is very straight lined, if that makes sense. And because it is like that, and he's got a high toss as well, it's difficult to slice that so effectively or as effectively as someone else. I think he needs to look into that. For me, anyway, I just think the slice serve is something that he needs to add to his repertoire, and I don't think it's at the standard or level of, as you say, like a Djokovic, for example. So, yeah, something to work on for sure. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about Sinner and Medvedev, I guess, in the preview. So, yeah, as I said, I think the point about the ad exchange is really important. Shot tolerance variation from Sinner is very much needed because he's not going to win the longer points for the most part. So he needs to be creative there, for sure. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued to see how Sinner gets on against Medvedev, and I hope that he. Even though I do really like Medvedev, I kind of hope that he wins, just to kind of make sure that he's not able to. Yeah, he's just not going to have that mental block against him. Sinner, Medvedev, and Djokovic all take time away from the opponent. Yeah, by taking the I don't know about Medvedev. Medvedev does because of the way that he hits the ball. So he's a weird one in the sense that he doesn't take time away by taking the ball early, which is what Sinner does, what Federer used to do. He takes time away by hitting the ball really flat, so it just skids off the surface and it's a lot quicker. It speeds up off the surface, so he rushes you in that aspect. Djokovic doesn't necessarily take the ball that early. So I don't think he takes time away as much as, say, a Federer or a Sinner or I guess a Medvedev, as you're saying, but he's got so much variety and he can play in different ways. When he's on, he definitely takes time away because he starts hitting the court really just incredibly. He says exactly, he needs to mix up the variation of his serve and keep Sinner guessing because today was very predictable in that sense. Yeah. Yeah, and the obsession of that kick serve on the ad side to me is just such a weird choice. He needs to improve that as well. Like it's almost a second serve for a first serve, and it's just a bizarre choice, in my opinion. Guys, do you have any other questions on Sinner and Medvedev or the review or the matchup? Let me know, please, in the comment section or the live even section of this stream. Also, let me know in the chat, do you want us to do on screen? We can do the TNS bracket for the ATP Shanghai Masters. We can go through it together. I haven't seen the draw. So if you guys are up for it, we can do it. So let me know. And I'm more than happy to go through it because I'd like to get your guys' input as well, because why not? And you guys can laugh at my picks as well, how crazy my picks are. Sandra says, do you think Sinner has a chance given that it's been so one-sided from Medi thus far? Look, I mean, he does have a chance. He does have a chance. I think the problem was, and is Sandra, as I was saying earlier, that I don't know if he's got enough variety in his baseline game to really trouble Medvedev. I think he's a bit one pace sometimes, and it can work against someone like Alcaraz because he rushes him, but Medvedev won't be rushed, and he'll defend from 2 meters behind the baseline if he needs to. But he's very quick to the drop shot. He's difficult to get past. And Sinner has got frustrated in the past, by playing Medvedev, and he's made a lot of errors because of it. So yeah, and he doesn't have like a very good backhand slice. He doesn't have a lot of variety on the forehand in terms of hitting with 4 or 5 different ways like an Alcaraz. So he's going to have to rely more on different angles, on if he can hit with different paces on the forehand as well and flatten that out a bit more and hit with more topspin. I know he can do that. Then he's got a potential chance, but I think he'll need to also have that clutch mentality he had today, which is really making sure that he steps up his game in the big points. And if he does that, he'll be in pretty good stead. That's a massive factor. So he definitely has a chance. I think Medvedev is the favorite though, and the head-to-head proves that, I think, as well. And he's also been playing very well as well. But this is, I didn't know you were doing a late night show. Sorry, I'm late, no problem at all. I want Sinner to win tomorrow, but I still feel like Medi is going to win, sadly. The way he played against Zverev was scary. He played very well. I think Medvedev definitely has the edge in the longer rallies, though. Yeah, 100% stuff. Yeah, 100%. Medvedev will outlast Sinner in the majority of those longer rallies. So he needs to find creative ways to finish off the points earlier, whether that's coming to the net and volleying, whether that's a drop shot, whether that's hitting with angle and hitting through the court. But he needs to have variation. Variation is just key. If you have no variation versus Medvedev, you're not going to win. It's just simple. James says the only way I see him win is if he serves well and adds variation. Yeah, agreed. Now he says Team Alcaraz and even Felix have caused Medvedev problems when they hit through him. Sinner should have that in him. I don't think they hit through him though. I don't think I agree with that. It's not necessarily hitting through him. They've been able to, take time away from Medvedev and really hug the baseline. They played at times high risk tennis to get through him. But it's more about moving him side to side and putting him in uncomfortable positions and being able to have a good slice as well. The backhand line from team, for example, into the forehand. I was talking about it that Medvedev's forehand can be error prone at times, and all three of these players have done that. Felix with the forehand has different variations, and forehand to forehand, he's winning that exchange for the most part, and he serves very, very well when he's playing the level that we expect him anyway. I'm not sure. I don't think Sinner can hit through him. That's the problem. He will have points when he does that, but I don't know. I don't see that. I think he needs to be a bit more creative, and hitting through Medvedev isn't the answer. So Dan says, who is the better mover of the two? Difficult to say, to be honest. I would say defensively, if it's not movement there, it's Medvedev, but in terms of flexibility and pure speed, I'd say Sinner. Min in the chat. How you doing, Min? Sinner played doubles in Beijing and made the final, so maybe his net game will become a weapon, says Matthew. Maybe. Doubles does help, but I've heard someone, I think it was a tennis player, actually said that, look, doubles net play and singles net play is very, very different. Just because you're a good doubles player doesn't mean that you're going to be a great volleyer on the singles tour. So there is some crossover, but it's not as much as you might think, which is strange to think about, to be honest. Okay, any more questions on Sinner, Medvedev, or Alcaraz, etc.? Otherwise, I'm going to do the bracket for the Shanghai Masters. And we can go through that together. And and then look, I'm more than happy to answer questions when we go through the draw as well for that, not just on the draw, but anything else. And I'm sure we'll have some time after as well to look through it and look through any topics that you might have. Okay, now it's stopping me from doing it, so I'm assuming that we can do the bracket. He says, do the bracket now, lol. Yeah. Yes, it is. Reminds of the Tokyo Olympics. Exactly. Cool. So this is the Shanghai Masters. Carlos Alcaraz is a buy, so we can just pick him. Nuno Borges and Barrera will go Barrera, I think. Right. Kukushkin and Alexander Muller. I mean, difficult qualifier. Let's go for the qualifier. Go on, Kukushkin. Buy and Dan Evans. Dimitrov as well has a buy. Vukic and Carbes. Bayeno will go for Vukic, who's been in some decent form this year. Zukayev and Napolitano will go for Napolitano. Hachanov has a bias as TFO. Sonego to beat Zakulic for me, qualifier. Thompson to beat Atzman, the qualifier as well. Nicholas Jarry and Lehechka both have buys. Schwartzman to beat Van Asch. Shang and Watanuki will go for Shang. Fritz to win as he's got a buy, same with Tsitsipas. Jair to beat Hijikata. Vadizan Schultz to beat O'Connell. Umber as a buy, so there's Struff. Poprin to beat Alnadi. JJ Wolf to beat Cashin. Cam Nori to beat no one. He's got a buy, same with Tommy Paul. Varelas and Offner. He's been in some decent form. Arthur Fields, Kotov will go for Fields. David Shvakina, buy. Yeah. So there's Manarino. Shevchenko and Seng qualify. Will go for Shevchenko. Exciting young player. Karatsev and Quinton Hallis will go for Quinton Hallis. Andrei Rublev has a buy, as does Casper Ruud. Daniel Altmaier and Yoshimi Nishioka. My Duckworth and Hanfman. We'll go for Hanfman. Evans has a bye, as does Grigspor. Wawrinka to beat Lejovic. Ridanek to beat Marazan. Dimina has a bye, as is her catch. Geez, I'm not a big fan of 32 buys thing. Fair enough. Kokonakis Fognini, that would be a good one. Go for Kokonakis. Purcell to beat Su. Musetti has a bye, as is Echeverry. Zheng Xinwen, sorry, Zheng Jin, and Gasquet will go for. We'll go for Gasquet. Nakashima to beat Zapata Morales. Hogarun has a bye. Sinner bye. Giron to beat Gallant. Daniil to beat Sweeney. Baez has a bye, as is Shelton. Jeremy Munar. Okay. Andy Murray to beat Safiullin. Zverev has a bye, as does Felix. And Fuchsovich to beat Versiev. McDonald to beat Mute. Yeah, close one though. Strudino has a bye, as does Corda, who just made the final of the tournament, moving to Manarino in 3 sets today. Okay, Ketmanovic and Uchakit. Ketmanovic, Christian Garing, Kojevic, with Kojevic. Medvedev has a bye. Yeah, he does. Step down says, surprised to see that Andy and ADM are not set to make in the first, second round. Yeah, exactly. Murray versus Safiullin is a really tough first round. Yeah, it is. He's been in really good form. Alcaraz beat Barrera. Evans to beat Kukuchkin. Dimitrov to beat Vukic. Hachinot to beat Napolitano. Tiafoe to beat Sonego. Jarry to beat Thompson. Lehechka to beat Schwartzman. Fritz to beat Shang Junjen. Tsitsipas to beat Zhao. And Humbert to beat Van der Schulp. Struff to beat Poprin. Cam Norrie to beat JJ Wolf. Tommy Paul to beat Offner. Arthur Fields. Darius Fukino will go for Fields. Adrian Marino versus Shevchenko. Marino's just won a tournament. We'll go for her. Which is fair. Health-wise. Quinton Hannes versus Anthony Rublev, or Andre Rublev, even. We'll go for Andre Rublev. Casper Ruud over Daniel Altmaier. Same with Hanfman and Eubanks. And Murray versus Safiullin is a really tough round. Tough first round, by the way. Yeah. Over that. Eubanks to beat Hanfman. Wawrinka to beat Grigspor. Dimina to beat Ridanek. Hakash to beat Kokonakis. Okay. Hakash to beat Kokonakis. Musetti to beat Purcell. Echeverry to beat Gasquet. Okay, Hogaruna to beat Nakashima. Sinner to beat Giron. Baez to beat Daniil. Shelton to beat Munar. Murray Zverev. Second round. I don't see Murray winning this. I'm going to go Zverev, even as much as I would like him to win it. Felix and Felix Auger-Aliassime, does he get his first win in a while? I don't know. You know what? No, I'm going to go Fuchsovich. Lynn says Zverev has the toughest draw, in my opinion. I mean, he's a low seed, so not surprised, and we'll see. But yeah, he's so far not so great for him. And Cerundolo to beat McDonald. Korda to look after Getmanovic. And right. Okay. Right, so okay. Okay. Now we're in the round of 32. Alcaraz, Evans, Alcaraz, Dimitrov, Hachanov, Jarry to beat TFO, Lehechka, Frit to go for Lehechka, Tsitsipas to beat Umber. Okay. Struff and Nori will go Struff. Time pull over off fields, they meet again. Andre Rublev Manarino is like probably Rublev's worst nightmare. We'll go for Rublev. Casper Ruud, Christopher Eubanks. Casper Ruud or Christopher Eubanks? Casper Ruud. I think Umber beats Tsitsipas if they play really wow. Brave, cool. Could be the case. Do I change it? No. I'll base it on my thoughts, and then whoever watches it can come back and complain. Okay. Wawrinka Dimona will go for Dimona. Her catch. Massetti will go for her catch. Runa to beat Echeverry. And Sinner to beat Baez. Wow, Zverev Shelton. No, I'd love to say that Shelton gets it done. I'm not too sure, though. I think Zverev's too solid. Cerundolo to beat Fuchsovic. Medvedev. Okay. Quarterfinal stage. Right? Oh no, round of 16, sorry. Let's not get ahead of myself. Right, Alcaraz, Hachanov, Alcaraz, Jarry, Lehechka. Jarry, I haven't seen a lot of Lehechka this year, in honesty. Tsitsipas and Struff. Oh, that's a good one. Struff has beaten Tsitsipas on clay this year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go for Struff. Rublev, Tommy Paul. I think he manages to find a way to nullify the power machine. Rude and Dimona will go for. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go for Dimona. I'm going to go for Dimona to beat Casper Ruud. He's been in good form. And her catch to beat Runa. Going for it. I'm going to go for Sinner to beat Zverev. Zverev's draw is horrible. Who said it? It was Min. Yeah, it's terrible. Medvedev to beat Cerundolo. Don't think Cerundolo has what it takes to beat Medvedev's game at the moment. Alcaraz and Nicholas Jarry. No, I'm going to go for Alcaraz. Len Struff and Tommy Paul. Okay, so I'm going to go for Struff over Paul. We're going to go for De Minaur a catch. Sinner Medvedev, which would be a replay of the final tomorrow. Go for Medvedev, but Sinner wins. He's got momentum. I've got Alcaraz, Struff semi-final, and De Minaur Medvedev semi-final. Alcaraz to win that, Medvedev to win that. And then it's who do I pick out of Alcaraz and Medvedev? I'll go for Medvedev, I guess. It's fine. All good. Bella says, "Oh, that sounds like a great match." As Zverev Shelton, yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. This is a hot take, but I think there is a chance Carlos loses to Dimitrov or Khachanov. Interesting. Alcaraz has a fairly easy draw here. Finally, though, yeah, I don't think it's that easy as people make it out to be. Yeah, I mean, thing is, when you play a Masters 1000 tournament or getting ready for etc. Right, Medvedev or Carlos Alcaraz in the final. I'm going for. I don't know. Who do I go for? I've got a really boring final, haven't I? I'll go for Alcaraz to get revenge. I don't know, though. It still seems wrong. It doesn't seem like these two should be in the final, but I don't know. I've done it. I've done my picks. Hey, what's this? I don't remember my picks. Oh, you got to be kidding me. No way. Just wiped me. Oh, my God. I don't think it's as easy as people make it out to be. Says Gene, maybe, yeah. Bravo, Pizan. Thank you, Min. Boring final. He says, yeah, it's in boring in the sense that I've gone for the number 1 and number 2 seed, right? And it would be exciting final to watch, but on paper, it's just like, oh, same old. Like, I picked the same people to win or like make the final, right? Because the top 2 seeds. So, yeah, boring finals. Actually, Medi wins Beijing and Shanghai back to back would be crazy, but he is a hardcore specialist after all. You know what's even more crazy is the fact that the 20 titles he's won in different locations, all of them. It's incredible, honestly. He's like a Pokemon catcher, but in tennis, looking to catch Pokemon from anywhere, from everywhere, all different types of countries. So yeah, it's definitely impressive to say the least. But yeah, so I've gone for Alcaraz to win. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Like, who have you picked? Who would you have picked, or who have you picked? Have you done it? Because technically he's the defending champion too, Fazan. Who is Medvedev? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Because he won it when it was last played, the last time in 2019. He did. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I mean, Medvedev is a hardcore specialist. I don't think we can disagree with that. Can anyone disagree with that? Well, they won Rome this year. That was bloody impressive, wasn't it? I mean, it's just such a shame they didn't do well at Roland Garros because I'm not saying he would have won it, but I do think he could have done something, man. It wasn't really the case. Like, he struggled in the end, losing the first round or the first match he had anyway. Is what it is, I guess. Is what it is. So that makes it more like Medi will win a French Open than another US Open. No. As in, sorry. No, I don't think that. I think it's just a coincidence, in honesty, Bella. But I'm more talking about the ATP titles, not Grand Slam titles as well. In the sense that, like, for example, he hasn't won the ATP Tour Finals more than once. He won it once, and he's won Paris once. He's won Indian Wells once, maybe Cincinnati. No, not Indian Wells. Cincinnati one, not Cincinnati either. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I'd have to find all the tournaments he's won. Michael says Medvedev for Beijing and Shanghai. Nice. Uh, Ashley says that Medi dance in Rome still lives in my head rent free. Lol. It is what it is. You can't change the past, says Michael. Yeah, I mean, sure. What's in relation to? Guys, I'm going to wrap up soon. So if you have any questions about whatever, anything tennis related, whether to do with Sinner Medvedev, Alcaraz, Zverev, this draw, whatever, let me know. Let me know. And we'll answer in the next 5-10 minutes. Otherwise, we will wrap it up. Bella says, I agree. It's funny that could be the result of his odd pattern of title wins. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is funny, definitely. And you'll see Palmer hitting the umpire did a weird one because it was on a match point to him and he missed an easy volley, picked up the ball, smashed it, and ended up hitting the umpire. And it wasn't intentional, but it was wild. Like it's a wild thing to do as well. So I don't know. Disqualification, should it be in disqualification? Don't know. Don't know. In all honesty. It was definitely out of control, so I'm not surprised he got disqualified, but just a bit unfortunate that it hit the umpire because if he misses the umpire, he doesn't get disqualified. But it's just one of those things. What was your prediction for the final for some Medi in 3? Was it? Yeah, I'll go for Medvedev in 3 against Sinner tomorrow. I'm hoping that Sinner can win, honestly, and it's not because I'm necessarily more of a fan of Sinner than Medvedev. I just think for the sake of the head-to-head, it's important he wins. Michael says, is France's TFO playing in Shanghai? Yeah, we just went through it. So I had him making. Why did I have him? I had him making the round of 32. Yeah, so I picked Jerry to beat him. So yeah. Ashley says, do you think Carlos's thigh is bothering him, or was his wrapping just precautionary? I don't know. Actually, it's a good point. I know I've seen the strapping. I saw the strapping before tournament started. Someone mentioned it. I don't know. It could just be a precaution. In honesty, could have just tweaked it slightly. It's always hard to know. It's always hard to know. And Jean says that disqualification was unlucky. How about Arthur Fields? What about Arthur Fields? What are my thoughts on him? Yeah, I mean, he's a talented young French player. He's definitely got a lot, in my opinion, he's got a lot of room, though, to improve. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. Hosip says that break racket instead, nobody gets hurt. Yeah, it's true. Or unless they bounce the racket off the floor, they need to chuck it face down, then it's fine. Who knows at this point if the strapping is just precautionary, says Gene. Yeah, it's difficult to know. It's difficult to know unless he comes out and says it directly, or his team does, or you're close to his team, which I'm not, so I don't know his team. I don't know Juan Carlos Ferrero in terms of personally or whatever. So it is difficult, and it didn't look like his movement was hindered. So I just think it's obviously not that bad. It's more just precautionary than anything. But yeah, guys, I think we're gonna stop it there. It's 11:40. I think the next one I might try and do one next week, to be honest with you, because I've got a bit of time at the moment for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I'll probably do one, but I'll start it a bit earlier so that we can go on longer rather than just an hour. And yeah, and I think we have. And I'll also have this one. I only set up today, so there's not as many people in the chat because I didn't promote it on our social media channels at all, really. Min says Alcaraz had the taping ever since Wimbledon, but you couldn't see it clearly because he was wearing white shorts. Min, you're really checking out Alcaraz's thighs, aren't you? Don't blame you. Don't blame you. Yeah, and that's it. That's it. On that note, Fazan's becoming late night Fazan, which is not appropriate for the channel. So he needs to keep his thoughts to himself. Thank you, Fazan. Take care, everyone. Catch all in the next one. To Ashley. Yeah. No, thank you, Ashley. Appreciate all of you. Ashley, Min, Josep, Michael, Gene Better as well. Thank you for becoming a member recently. Who else? Step as well. Thank you for becoming a member today. That's really kind of you. Matthew in the chat as well, if you're still here. And Fasan, no shame, lol. Yeah. Look, I mean, I can't say I've been looking at Alcaraz's thighs, so yeah. But maybe just me. Maybe it's just me. Right, cool. What we will do is, by the way, I'll be doing some previews for the Shanghai Masters matchups. David will be doing the final tomorrow for Sinner versus Medvedev. I should be doing some more streaming. I know I streamed recently on the weekend. I'll probably be streaming this weekend as well. And to be honest, next week in the days as well, I should be able to do some, including not just the weekend. So that is the plan. We'll see how it goes. I'll be doing previews for the matches. I might be doing some post-match analysis because I'll probably, as I'm working throughout the day, have it on in the background. So I will do some post-match analysis as well. I think when I did a poll before, a lot of you said that that was actually your favorite type of content. So yeah. Also, there's some really exciting new topical videos coming out. One on Nadal. If you're a Nadal fan, you will love it, but probably hate it as well, and you'll see why when it comes out, I guess. Like I'm a Nadal fan, as all of you know, but yeah, it's more specific topic, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. But yeah, that's coming out, and there'll probably be another one coming out. I'm trying to do one every like 2 weeks because they need to be edited, right? So the editing takes a while, which I don't do myself, by the way. We have a video editor for those specific videos, those topical graphical videos. And yeah, I need to do a script and then need to do it and make sure I do my research and, get my stats together or whatever else I need in order to put together the script. And then I record, give all whatever the clips are needed, etc. as well, information, and then you can go through one or two iterations. So hopefully that'll be uploaded. What's today? Tuesday? Probably Thursday, the Nadal one, so keep an eye for that as well. And yeah, that's all. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Really, really appreciated. And Hosips says later, peeps. Thanks, Fazai. Bye, everyone. Bye, Min. Take care, my friend. And don't listen to Fazan. Keep looking out Kraz's thighs, lol. I will. Min, are you in Australia, Min? Whereabouts are you? Because I know Ashley, you're in the US. Hosip's in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. Gene's in South Africa, which is cool because actually we don't have a huge. Do we? Oh, we do have a following in South Africa. We do. I'm in Los Angeles. Okay, in LA, living the life. Cool. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you in the next video.